Hello there, this is the solution video for the problem that I posted yesterday. And I was surprised by how many people attempted it and sent me a solution. And everyone that sent me a solution was correct with their answer. So good job, you know who you are. But I'm actually more interested in the people that didn't try it out, because the reason I'm making these videos is not because of the people that are already really interested in math and like doing these problems. No, I'm making these videos for those of you that are not so much into math. And maybe math is one of those things that makes you cry and really gets your heart rate up when you see an X and a Y or something like that. If you're one of those people, you have something called math anxiety. It's an actual thing. Look it up. It's a phenomenon. It's a worldwide phenomenon, unfortunately. And more than 60% of adults worldwide suffer from this, okay? So if you're one of those people that you just don't like math and it makes you cry, it makes you feel bad, the majority of the world is exactly in the same group as you. And it is not your fault that it's like this. It's entirely the fault of the educational system and the way we teach math, which is absolutely wrong, and the teachers and all those people, okay? Because math is something that anyone can understand. And so I hope with these problems that if you're one of those people, that I can help you out a little bit and go in a way where you feel comfortable doing these things. So I'm just saying this in the beginning because you're the reason why I'm making these videos, because the people that already like math, they don't need me to show this to them. They're going to be able to do this. And you are also going to be able to do this because these are actually not that hard problems. It's just that you got to kind of sit down and be able to get over your anxiety and spend just a little bit of time on these problems, and you'll see that you'll be able to get those too. With that long introduction, actually 2 minutes, let's get into the problem. And if you are one of those people that are struggling with math, don't even worry about doing this, okay? Just watch me, and hopefully I'll be able to walk you through it. And hopefully, if this is just looking like Greek or Chinese to you, if you are an English speaker, of course, then hopefully it's not going to be like that in just a couple of minutes. Okay, let's get into it now. Let's read through the problem again, because that is super important. What we have here are 3 apples, 4 bananas, and 2 pears. So far, we're all familiar with this, right? We go to the grocery store and we all buy fruit, or we should all be buying fruit. I'm not always very good at it, unfortunately. But we have 3 apples. So let's make 3 apples, actually, like this. Okay, that is good enough, I'll say. There we go, 3 apples, 4 bananas. There we go. And 2 pears. We'll make it like this, and we'll make it like this. Okay, so these things all together cost 63 kroners. Again, if you're not familiar with kroners, it's the local currency here in Norway where I live. This is 63 kroners. Okay, so we just got given some information. Okay, what do we do with this information? Let's just pause here, not even continue. What do we do with this information? Here's what I always like to do, okay? And maybe this is going to help you out. When you are given information in a math problem, you want to take that information in through your brain and regurgitate that back in the way that makes sense to you, okay? And I will, most of the time, will do it in as visual of a way as possible, which is why I've literally drawn 3 apples, 4 bananas, and 2 pears, even though it doesn't look like that at all. I don't know what this looks like, especially these 2 pears. But anyway, and I've said, okay, all of this cost 63 kroners, okay? Why have I done this? Because now that I've actually written it out, I can see this, right? Versus me just trying to do this in my brain, okay? This is the first thing that you gotta learn. You have to do this. You have to take the information that you're given and you have to make sense of it and you have to put it down on paper again, okay? You won't believe how helpful this is gonna be for you to do any kind of problem. Okay, now, we've done this now, but this is still a very visual way of representing it, right? What math lets us do is take a problem like this, which is a very real-world problem, and turn it into something that includes numbers, sometimes letters, if you're doing algebra, and equal signs and plus and minus and things like that, right? Why is that useful? The reason is, if you can take something real, like bananas and apples and things like that, and you want to solve some problem there, and if you can turn it into numbers, then all of a sudden you have all of math being the foundation of that, right? You know that you can use a plus and a minus and a division sign and multiplication and equal sign, and those things work together in specific ways, right? There are rules for this that mathematicians have figured out a long time ago that we can use. So suddenly we have this framework that we can use, the framework of math on this thing, right? So let's try to do that now, okay? So 3 apples, how can we write that? First of all, it's 3. 3 of what? 3 smiley faces? It could be, but it's not. 3 apples in this case, right? 3 apples. Now here's the thing. If I'm going to keep making these apple drawings, it's going to take a long time for us to get done with this video, okay? So mathematicians figured out a long time ago that instead of using literally the picture of an apple, a very badly drawn picture of an apple, we can literally say, hey, an apple is written like this, and it starts with an A, so why don't we just replace this apple with an A? Isn't that much easier? Oh yeah, it's much easier. 3A, there we go. So much easier to write. And we know A stands for apple. Make sense? Yes. Okay, so with that, let's now take this and turn this into a math equation, okay? First of all, we have here 3 apples. Let's write that down here, 3A. Then we have 4 bananas, okay? So we can add that together, right? Because we're taking all of these things together, that together is costing 63 kroners in this case. It could be anything, could be dollars, euros, of course, anything. So we're going to say 4B for bananas, and then we're going to say 2P for pears, okay? And what is that going to be equal to? Well, that's going to be equal to 63, right? So let's do 63 on that. There we go. Now just imagine this. We took these words, turned it into this picture, visual representation, turned it into this math equation. Wow. Wow. That's the power of math. Okay. So with this now, since we've understood this, let's get rid of these things. And we're gonna go and write these things down in the same way after we have read the rest of the problem. Oops. There we go. And let's get rid of that. Oops. This and this and this. Okay. All right. So the first thing, of course, is, again, 3A plus 4B plus 2P equals 63. All right, so that's the first part covered. And then it says, while 3 pears, 5 apples, and 6 bananas cost 97. Okay, at this point, if you're watching this, you want to pause here and write it down for yourself before I write it down, okay? Make sure you do that. I'm going to give you a couple seconds. Pause me. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, I hope you did that. So that's going to be 3 pears. Now, here's the thing. I can write this down in different ways, okay? The natural way for me to write it down was go, again, 3 pears, okay? 3P. And then 5 apples. So 5A plus 6B equals 97. This is what you would naturally do. But let's look at what's happening here. Just because it says first 3 pears, 5 apples, 6 bananas doesn't mean that we have to write it in that order, does it? No, of course not. This is exactly the same as, for example, if we took this and wrote this first, 5A plus, and then we wrote 6B plus 3P equals 97. Isn't that the case? Yes, of course, because it's just adding the same things together, right? It doesn't matter if you add it ABC or CBA. Okay, all right. So why don't we get rid of this and we stick with what we have down there. Now, why write it like this? Here's the thing. We got apples here in this column, we got bananas in this column, and pears in this column, and the numbers in this, totaling up. It's just so much easier. And as we'll see, this is going to be very useful in just a minute when we approach the end of this problem. Okay, now it says, How many apples can you get for 120 kroners? Whoa, why are they asking about that? How many apples can you get for 120? Okay, so we got to figure out how much one apple is, right? And then we need to figure out how many of those we can fit into 120, right? Okay, so how do we go from these two to that? That's a little bit confusing, honestly. Okay, let's forget about that for just a second, and let's just see what we can do with this information that we're already given. Because here's the thing with math. If you're given some information, usually what we can do is that we can use the rules of math, the framework of math, and all the things that come with it to deduce new information from the information that we're already given. Let's see if that's the case here. What if we did something here? Okay, let me ask you a question. Can we take these two equations and add them up? What do I mean by that? Can we take all of these, the 3 apples, 4 bananas, 2 pears that cost this much, and 3 pears, 5 apples, and 6 bananas, 97 kroners, can we add them all up into one thing? Of course we can. If you have the first group of them in one cart, and you have the other group of them in another cart with 2 different people, you can put everything into one cart. You can just add them all up, right? That's no problem, right? So we can add them up. Okay, so it seems like we can actually do plus and minus and things like that as we would be able to in math with this, right? Because this is just an equation with 3 different things that are unknown: the apples, the bananas, and the pears. All right, okay, so we're back to math then. That's interesting. That's interesting. All right, okay, so I'm going to move this one. I'm going to move this one down here, actually. And I'm going to go and put this up here, and you're going to see. We got 5 apples and 3 apples down here. If I added them up, there will be 8 apples together. Okay. If I took away 3 apples from 5 apples, it would be 2 apples. Interesting. All right. What about this? 6 bananas and 4 bananas. If I took it away from the first one, it would be 2 bananas, all right? And this, again, it would be just 1 pear. And then I could just take these numbers, take 97 minus 63. But I don't know if that's going to give me anything interesting, though. But wait. What if we took the first full equation and multiplied it by a number? Can we do that? Oh yeah, we can do that. This is a math equation. We can multiply both sides by any number if we want to, right? Okay, which number should we do that by? What if we multiplied this by 2? Let's do that, okay? Let's try to do that now. Let's move this down here, and let's do this whole thing multiplied by 2. Okay, now how does this work? When you're multiplying by 2 here, this would be easy. It's just 97 times 2. And then this one would be 10a, right? And then you would have to do 12b, and then you would have to do 6p, because you have to do every term, right? Okay, let's do that now. So we have 10a, and we have 12b, 12 bananas, and then we have 6 pears. What about 97 times 2? 97 is fairly close to 100, right? So let's do 100 times 2. What's that? 200. 97 is 3 less than 100. So take 3 away and then 3 away again because you did it by 2. So that's 6. So that's 194. Make sense? I think it does. So 194. All right. Okay. Now at this point, you might be a little bit confused. Why did we even do this? We're going to get to that, okay? There is a reason why we did this. All right, so that's done now. What about this one? What do we want to do with this? What if we multiply this one by 3, not by 2, but by 3? What happens then? Then this becomes 9a, right? 3 times 3, 9. This becomes 12b, and this becomes 6p. I think you might be seeing what I'm doing here. And this becomes whatever it is. We're going to do that in just a little bit. Okay, so let's actually move this a little bit down here. And we're going to do this now. We're going to say 9a 10a plus 12b, right? 3 times 4b, that's 12b, plus 6p, because 3 times 2p, 6p. And then we have 3 times 63. Okay, 3 times 63 was that. So 60 times 3, that's 180, right? 3 times 3, that's 9. So 189, it should be. Okay, 189. All right, now let's get rid of these two because it's distracting a little bit at this point. Let's get rid of these as well. This one and this one. And then we go up here. Okay, now what do we have here? We'll see now if we draw a line here and we do a simple operation. We take the first full thing, right? The first equation, and from that we take away the second equation. So we do a minus. Remember, this is math, so we can do plus and minus. The same way as we can take everything from two cards, add them together, we can also take them away. That's up to us. Now try to do this by yourself, okay? Try to complete this and write it down here. What do you get? Pause here and try to do it by yourself. I'm serious. I'll see you in just a couple of seconds, okay? All right, so I hope you did that by yourself. Okay, so let's start from this side, actually. 194 and 185, 189, sorry. How much is that? That's just 5 difference, so we'll put 5 here. 6p minus 6p, very conveniently, that's 0, so we'll put down 0 here. Plus 12b minus 12, 0 again. What do you know? What a coincidence, 0. What about this one? 10a minus 9b, that's 1a. That's just a. 1a and a is the same thing. There we go. And what do you know? We can simplify this to be a equals 5. Now, is that what the answer is supposed to be? No. It's saying how many apples can you get for 120 kroners? One apple costs 5 kroners. We're sure of that now, okay? So what do we got to do? We have 120 kroners. And in order to get, let's put that a little bit to the left there, we have to divide that by 5. Okay, so what do we get there? Do we have to do the whole thing, or can we just do it in our heads? That's going to be, so if it was 20, right? 20 times 5, that is 100. And then if you have 4 times 5, that's 20. Then the answer must be 24. There we go. And that indeed is the right answer, which several of you got, so well done again. Okay, so we're done finally. This was way longer than I hoped that it would be, but it takes a little bit of longer time if we want to go really slow like I did right now. I hope this made sense to you. Now, let's just recap very quickly what we did here, okay? We very slowly read the problem and made a visual representation of it, okay? The first part. Then we understood. This is what we're talking about. Apples, bananas, and pears. And then we took that and we turned that into a mathematical equation. And boom, you got all of math behind you at that point, right? All the laws and the pluses and minuses and rules and everything there, you got there. You just use that, okay? And that's what we did. And the clever thing that we came up with was the two equations that were given, how can we multiply them by a factor just being a number so that when we put them right next to each other like this or on top of each other, when we take away this one from that one, then we get something interesting. Now, I didn't know this going in. Now, of course, I've done these kind of problems a lot, so I know at this point that is something to look for, but you might not have known this. Okay, but this takes some getting used to. If you look at the numbers, if you're used to this and you're used to doing math problems, you can look at the numbers. Okay, I see that they go up exactly in that way, and so I can do that. Okay, but that was I would say the difficult part of this. That was the clever thing that you had to think about. And oftentimes you can find different ways of doing the same thing. I just found this one to be the most kind of clever solution to this one. And once we did that and we wrote it down like this, we got just very elegantly, we just got A equals 5. We figured out the cost of one apple. And then from that, of course, the answer was easy. So That's how it took us 20 minutes, more than 20 minutes to go through all of that, okay? Now, I hope that makes sense to you. If it didn't, let me know if you had any problems understanding any part of it. But I hope that I was able to show you that these problems, when you go through them, they're not actually that hard. They just use very basic math that all of us know about at this point, right? Plus, minus, division, multiplication, and just a couple things more, really. But it turns out that just using those things, you can create an infinite amount of problems, essentially. And the trick is really to take the information and understand the problem and translate it into math, and then be able to just take it through different things that you already know about, plus, minus, things like that. Okay? All right, I'm going to stop talking now. I hope this was a little bit enjoyable at least, and you weren't feeling that bad during the whole thing. As I said, these videos I am making for the people that don't like math, so I'm really hoping that you are watching at least a little bit of these videos and not disappearing in the first 10 seconds, because I really think that I know enough people now at this point that unfortunately had this bad experience of not really learning math in the right way and having math anxiety. But later on in their lives, they were able to get through that and still learn math, either because they just wanted to study math, but in most cases they wanted to study something else, computer science or electrical engineering or physics or whatever it was. And so there are so many examples of people that in their adult age, in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, were able to actually learn math, even though math would make them cry when they were younger. I'm just leaving you with that because, again, if you are one of those people that hate math, it really doesn't have to be like that. And I wish to show you with these videos that if you start learning math and if you start getting over your math anxiety, you'll see that a whole new world opens up to you, and you have to work towards that a little bit. But once that happens, it's just like looking at the world in a way that you've never seen before. And it's a bit hard for me to describe how it is. You got to get through that. But what I can tell you, that once that has happened, you'll feel so empowered, and you basically, so many things that you previously thought you couldn't do will just open up to you, just because fundamental math like arithmetic and a little bit of geometry, and you don't even have to go to high school or college math, just like elementary school math really well, you'll be surprised at how much that can change your brain and make things possible for you. Okay, that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry that this video was so long. I'm going to try to make the other ones much shorter. But yeah, that's all for this one. So take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.